Tokyo Ghoul needs no introduction. One of the best-selling manga of all time with over 47 million books sold, and Shihiteo, I just hit you with hella nostalgia. 10 years after first airing, Tokyo Ghoul is still in the top 10 of my anime's list most popular shows and still getting cringe edits to this day. But is the anime actually worth the no? Get this shit off my screen, man. The Tokyo Ghoul animes were bastardized, abridged versions of the manga. You ask anime fans to name a butchered adaptation, Tokyo Ghoul is definitely coming up in the discussion. I could go on and on about the bad with the Tokyo Ghoul anime, but instead, let's talk about some good shit. Let's talk about the Tokyo Ghoul manga. They live among us, appearing human but aren't. They prey and feast on human flesh. TikTokers. Wait, wrong video. Ghouls. Living in secrecy, ghouls blend into society and eat people. When they're not eating knuckle sandwiches and playing a deadly game of got your nose, fuck! Ghouls are fighting their ops, the CCG, who capture and hunt ghouls. Ken Kaneki is a nerdy guy who scores a date with a baddie and realizes she's the wrong type of eater. This isn't what I meant when I said gobble me up. Saved by steel beams and a ghoul organ transplant, Ken Kaneki is thrown between the world of humans and ghouls after becoming one. Through him, the story asks, who are the real monsters? Is what I say, this series was written by a fucking normie. You see the author's name? This looks like a normie to you? You see this art? This look like some normie shit to you? Tokyo Ghoul doesn't just do, it overdoes. From the way it handles its story, art, characters, Tokyo Ghoul is over the top in how it's told. CCG corporate ladders, ghoul combat technology, character salaries, a damn power system. I did not care about any of this at first, but after seeing how much death is here, now I'm intrigued. If the world of Tokyo Ghoul doesn't sell you on this series, I'll tell you what will. Just how cold this shit is, man. My boy was catching fades in a Balenciaga bulletproof. Just look at the drip of these motherfuckers. You could tell the author was off his damn rocker because the art is insane. You can hear these panels, feel the tension seeping from the pages. This is some sick shit. Tokyo Ghoul is a seinen manga, which are stories aimed at older audiences, but Tokyo Ghoul spices it up and adds some battle shonen flair to the mix. You get mature things for the big boys and the cool stuff you loved as a young anime fan. And you wanna know what young Guaz would have thought was cool? Emo superhumans fighting each other. This is a whole different kind of mosh pit. Ghouls have abilities like super strength, regeneration, and tough bodies, but things start getting real when they bring out their Kagune. Kagune flow like blood from the bodies of ghouls and are like liquid muscles hard as steel, making them viable for combat. In the beginning, you see simple ones, some that look like wings or tails, but then those shonen elements come into play. Power-ups and transformations. This guy looks like the ghoul version of Buddha, this one turns into a walking flamethrower, and my man here gets a Godzilla claw coming out of his ass crack. Kagunes have this rock, paper, scissors aspect that come into play. And then there's a CCG using Kagune and other technology to fight ghouls. This stuff is what a shonen fanboy's dreams are made of. But enough with the boy stuff. Let's get into the stuff for the big kids. Let's talk about... When I first started the manga, I thought I was getting another version of humans were the true monsters all along, but this series isn't that cut and dry. The only black and white parts about this story is the color of the manga. This story doesn't demonize ghouls for their natural instinct, but rather lets you look at them from an objective point of view. We spend heaps of time understanding ghouls, their best aspects and their worst. The same is done with the opposing side, the CCG. Spending all this time with both sides lets you reach your own consensus about ghouls and their war. Are ghouls in the wrong? You start seeing the parallels between ghouls and real life animals or people. Are lions wrong for hunting prey? Was Will Smith tweaking for slapping Chris Rock? Or are these guys just doing what's needed for their survival? Maybe there's a way for ghouls and humans to coexist and find peace. The story is filled with moments that make you question and ponder like this. When you're not going through hype moments, the story has you wondering about what's to come. What's the deal with the quack doctor? What's Risei's backstory? Sukiyama got a weird case, why is he around? And spin the vid back real quick. How does some pipes kill a ghoul? Like a 9/11 conspiracy theorist, I'm trying to find the truth behind the steel beams. Tokyo Ghoul's story has its high moments, but what takes it further are the characters. There's loads of them. Buff, thick, a man with glaucoma, you name it. The characterization is sensational. This guy is dapper as hell, but talks like a moron because like most ghouls, he can never go to school. Cause when these guys say a baddie looks like a snack, they're not talking about looks. Even minor characters play a role in the grand scheme of things. There's this domino effect with the characters' actions. Smaller characters tie into bigger pieces of the story hundreds of chapters after their introduction. A panel in a character's backstory sets readers up for the ending, and interactions seem small, but wham! They're built upon for big moments in character development. But what makes these characters stand out is that they feel real. Hey, play some excess tension in this bitch. We about to get deep.
Depression and obsession.
Now cut that shit off before I get copyrighted. These are people with pain, trauma, goals, and shortcomings. You see characters that you don't care about at first, but slowly you learn their backstories and their thoughts. You see how the world and their circumstances shape and affect them. An officer writing his will to his loved ones breaking down because he realizes he doesn't want to die, or seeing how a simple hug can make someone question their lifelong feelings of hate. Emotional moments like these make me care for even the smallest of characters. I would read to see how characters respond to their circumstances and feel proud or disappointed in their actions. I became invested. I even started caring about this weirdo. He was on some freaky ass Jeffrey Dahmer shit, but then you see his backstory and feel sympathy. The main character Ken Kaneki dips in and out the story, but the exploration of some of these characters is enough to keep you flipping. But when it comes to Ken Kaneki, I gotta be so real with you. This is a pussy main character done right. Take notes, Deku. Before I break down just how cold this man is, I gotta ask, have you ever heard of YW Melly?
I got mixed personality.
This bitch switched up my whole mentality.
My boy YW Kenny had different personalities and different drip for every day of the week. One time he popped out with the grease back hair and a tailored suit, and I thought he was gonna whip out a bada boom bada bing and pull out some ZD from his pants. But what makes him even colder is seeing how he got here from where he started. What makes Ken Kaneki such a great character is that he's believable. We get into this guy's brain and what he's thinking. At first, Kaneki is a quiet bookworm who can't stop bitching about being a ghoul. If you don't eat that kneecap with a side of sriracha and shut up. But where does Kaneki's personality stem from? Why does he think the way he does? Where do things start? When he was 4, Kaneki's father died, but Kaneki was mostly unaffected by this. He found peace and a connection to his father through his book collection. Who the death affected most was Kaneki's mother. Kaneki's mom was kind to a crippling degree. Her sister took advantage of this for financial gain, but Kaneki's mom never complained. She worked hard and got extra jobs, all with a smile on her face. She worked to the point of death. No pain instead of hurting others, an ideology Kaneki's mom had that she passed on to him. But when Kaneki meets Jason, this perspective is challenged. The infamous torture scene. Jason jabs Kaneki's eyes with RC suppressant, which is a drug that neutralizes a ghoul's powers. Most importantly, Kaneki's regeneration. Jason is treating Kaneki like a frog in a biology class. He's using pliers, scissors, knives to rip off Kaneki's arms, fingers, and toes. When the suppressants wear off and Kaneki regenerates, Jason starts to torture her all over again, all while making Kaneki count backwards in intervals of 7 to keep him sane throughout the torture, and it doesn't stop there. You see this? Jason puts this giant ass centipede in Kaneki's ear. This man was bugging like he was trying to get an invite to the Diddy freak off. But let's take a step back. How did Kaneki get here? Jason caught Kaneki and his group while they were escaping his organization. Jason promises to let the group go if Kaneki agrees to return with him. Kaneki sacrifices himself so his allies can escape. No pain instead of hurting others. When Jason gets bored of torturing Kaneki, he kills 2 of the people he said he would let go right in front of him. Jason lied. Kaneki's sacrifice was in vain. Mom was wrong. Kaneki's worldview was broadened. He goes from a shy pushover to someone who does what it takes to get the job done. There's not an exaggerated change in his character, but rather an understandable shift. There's sweet moments like him helping a friend with her hair, and then badass ones like when he popped out and told the op he's gonna half kill him. It sounds cool, but it doesn't make sense. And to Kaneki says, let me show you how many bones you got in your body, bro. Yeah, let's divide that in half. My guy went from a pushover to a ghoul freedom fighter. He went so hard for the ghouls, I started calling him Martin Luther Kaneki. Only difference is, my boy said he's done dreaming. Let's fucking go. We've been talking about the good with Tokyo Ghoul, so let's get into the bad. Earlier I mentioned the series having a huge cast, which has its positives, but overall it's a double-edged sword. In the first Tokyo Ghoul, the characters are manageable, and the narrative benefits from seeing different perspectives and parallels between ghouls and humans. But then the sequel, Tokyo Ghoul Re, comes out, and characters are popping in and out the screen.
Who are these niggas?
Who the fuck is that? boom, 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 boom. Who the fuck is that? Retakes the term New Start too literally. Instead of picking up where the previous entry leaves off and expanding on familiar characters and plot points, reintroduces you to new characters and new ideas. Starting this part is a big trust the process, bro. The original Tokyo Ghoul might feel slow, but when it gets going, it takes off. But that momentum is throttled when you get into Re. Tokyo Ghoul finishes with a damn war arc, but then you start Re and gotta get to know this piss baby. You come into the series with questions and get confused with even more. Making it into Re becomes a question of if the good is worth going through the bad. But if you do decide to go through those parts, you get to experience the best part of Tokyo Ghoul. There's so much the story has to say. I recited Takazawa's speech about there being a huge gap between first and second place to my friend, and that motherfucker was listening to me like I was spinning. But can we be real for a sec?
Yes, we can. So real that I'm in the real world, Guaz in the flesh, just to talk to you guys about my favorite Tokyo Ghoul quote. So let's get to the meat and potatoes of it. Without further ado, here's some of the quote. To live is to be unhappy. It's futile. Even so, small, grotesque as I am, short and cruel as this life may be, I still claw forward. I still search for beauty because it's worth it to keep choosing, to keep being chosen. You gotta drop the notepad for that. That's how real that shit is. And that's why it's one of my favorite quotes. I was listening to it during a hard time of my life, and it just reminded me that even though you're going through those hard times, when you go through the good times in life, those hard times, they're worth it. And I think it's a good example of what makes this series special, that no matter how old or young you are, there's aspects of it that are relatable. So I don't know who we need to talk to, if we need to talk to the Prime Minister. I don't know if Japan got presidents. We need to talk to someone just to remake this anime, okay? It's that good. So until then, that's it for this video. Hey.